Okay, let's watch this. The Tyre Nicholes story is a sad one, but unfortunately an all too common one. The uncommon part about it is that all 5 officers that were a part of Tyre Nicholes' murder, brutal murder, were subsequently fired and now are charged with murder and kidnapping. That is the uncommon part of this all too common story. I have not seen the video, but I assume it has to be devastating for Memphis to the Memphis Police Department to act so quickly. News Channel 5 has obtained a letter sent by the Tennessee Sheriff's Association to the National Sheriff's Association notifying law enforcement agencies that videos relating to the arrest of Tyre Nicholes will be made public on Friday. Cities are gearing up for riots, as a matter of fact, because of how fucking awful this story is.
This is a CBS News special report. I'm Nora O'Donnell. We are coming on the air as the city of Memphis and the country is on edge after the violent arrest that led to the death of 29-year-old Tyre Nicholes. Just today, the 5 now former Memphis officers involved were charged with second-degree murder, kidnapping, and other charges. As you can see, we are waiting to hear from the Shelby County, Tennessee District Attorney. He's going to give an update on the investigation. There is video of the traffic stop, and it is expected to be released relatively soon. We're just learning that. Also, the Nicholes family has seen that footage. The DA is saying today there are multiple sources of video from Nicholes' first and second encounter with police. It is approximately an hour in length. Let's listen in now to that press conference.
As you know, on January 7th, there was an encounter between 29-year-old Tyre Nicholes and former MPD officers. Immediately upon learning about this, DA Mulroy, Shelby County District Attorney DA Mulroy, enlisted the assistance of the TBI to determine if excessive force had been used. And since then, the DA's office has worked with TBI, and we will continue to do so. Today, you will hear from DA Mulroy along with the director of TBI, David Rouse. And so I want to just make it very clear and ask for your understanding that this is still an ongoing investigation. And so for that reason, there are limits to some of the things and some of the questions that we can answer. So we ask for your understanding as it relates to that. And I will turn it over to DA Mulroy. And did I mention that we will take questions after, but we have a really limited amount of time. So thank you.
Thank you, Erica. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming. I'm joined today, as Ms. Williams has already said, with the director of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, David Roush, as well as Assistant Director Josh Melton. I'm also joined by other members of my staff, including Ernest Brooks, Ray Lapone, Gerald Scahan, but then also, most relevant for today, the trial team in the Tyre Nicholes case, including Paul Hagerman and Tanisha Johnson. Another member of the trial team, Melanie Headley, is unavailable. We're here today because of a tragedy that wounds one family deeply, but also hurts us all: the death of Tyre Nicholes. We understand and acknowledge the grief that the friends and family of Tyre Nicholes are experiencing right now, as well as the great concern throughout all of Memphis and Shelby County about this case. We met several times this week with the family of Tyre Nicholes. They described an almost perfect son, a cheerful and happy person who enjoyed skateboarding and sunsets over Shelby Farms Park. We're grateful to the family of Tyre Nicholes for their patience as we expedited both the investigation and the consideration of charges in this case, as well as the understanding on the part of the family that premature release of the video could compromise both.
No, they wanted to...
And we did...
They wanted to... The video has to be so fucking damning, which is not surprising because many videos are damning. Most police interactions that end up with the death of a suspect, of a victim, is usually very damning. But this one has to be additionally worse, partially because they used bludgeoning objects and tasers and shit, less than lethal weapons, rather than just like immediately mag dumping into him. So much so that, and apparently it's an hour long, which I don't even know what the fuck they did, and I don't even want to think about it, that they immediately fired these guys. Okay? It's 5 black cops in Memphis stopping Tyre Nichols on a regular traffic violation and brutalizing him so much that he dies 3 days later. He's hospitalized and he dies 3 days later in the hospital. He was beaten to death. The family said that it was, the family that has seen the footage said that it was worse than Emmett Till. As he was calling for his mother, asking what did he do. Yeah, supposedly they beat him like a piñata, according to the family. And the video will be coming out, of course, at the end of the news week on Friday night. They say that he was left unrecognizable in the aftermath of this. And you know, none of us have seen the video yet, but if there's one thing I know in all of my years of covering police brutality, covering the news in the United States of America, it's that cops rarely ever see accountability. Derek Chauvin was a unique case specifically because of the accountability, right? Broad daylight, execution, and the subsequent legal accountability that came. Cops usually just go on paid administrative leave, desk duty, yada yada. When murder is seen as a part of their job, the entire system is designed to protect them. When they do engage in escalation, and they do it often, they do it frequently, and you rarely ever see cops. I've never seen cops get fired this fast. Never. In the past decade of covering news, police brutality, I've never seen cops ever get fired. All 5 of the cops involved get fired before the body camera footage is released. Okay? A week before they release the body camera footage, they don't even hold up the body camera footage. Usually they, you know, the routine process, the modus operandi here is never releasing the body camera footage, never even showing it to the family, claiming that it's gone, claiming that it's lost in the sauce. Okay? It was held up. Tyre was killed 3 weeks ago. Yes, they held it up to conduct an investigation and fire them. Not to hold it up without conducting an investigation or without conducting a false investigation and not charging them or firing them. Usually the reason why they hold up the footage is because they want the temperament to die out. They want the story to die out while they shelter the offending officers. I've never, ever seen 5 cops get fired and charged with murder and kidnapping before the body camera footage comes out only a month later. It's crazy.
Work quickly to expedite this investigation because of the extraordinary nature of the case. Compared to the average investigation and prosecution decisions in a case like this, we worked swiftly but also fairly, and most importantly, in a way calculated to ensure that we have a strong case. As you might have heard from Ms. Williams, in this case and any other officer-involved fatality case, I immediately called in the TBI so that we could have an independent investigation. I also assigned to the newly created Justice Review Unit within my office, which works independently and separately both from law enforcement and the rest of my staff, to make a truly objective recommendation about whether criminal charges were appropriate. I want to thank the TBI, the Justice Review Unit, and the trial team for working swiftly but thoroughly under very difficult conditions. Earlier today, the grand jury returned indictments against 5 former Memphis Police Department officers regarding the death of Tyre Nichols. These are the same 5 officers who were previously...
It's like we're in fucking bizarro world. Like, they're showing the officers as the perps. They're perp walking the officers, and they're showing footage of the victim of the police brutality, like skateboarding and shit, talking about him as actually a victim. It is so sad that this is what is supposed to happen, okay? In a just world, in a normal world, in a world where, like, you know, there is real justice. This is how it's supposed to happen. Do I, like, the fact that they're showing the cops out of uniform with their mugshots, I don't know if it's because they're black, okay? Because I'm sure that plays a role into it. Like, it has to. Even though being black does not make you a better cop, you are still a police officer. A fact that I mention so regularly. I hope people understand this when I say this. Okay? But it is wild that they're not showing them in police garb. Like, this is the system giving them up. The system that normally, the police unions that would normally, the sheriff's associations, the police unions that would normally defend these people down to the fucking core because their actions are seen as justifiable and expected by the police, which has the monopoly of violence, which exercises the state's monopoly of violence in every interaction, immediately drop them. Please don't be naive. What? Hasan, don't be naive because they're black? No, 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 no. I'm saying them being black plays a role in this, certainly. But being black does not change the dynamic of being a police officer. Sorry. It's 100% true. Because black police officers are still enforcing white supremacist constructs in black neighborhoods. Okay? That police department is the perfect liberal police department. It's overwhelmingly black, so the cops look like the people that they're supposed to be enforcing, which is what liberals say all the fucking time. Okay? There is a civilian jurisdiction board or whatever. Like, they have some form of, like, civilians... a civilian advisory board, some form of, like, civilian community policing is happening here, supposedly. And yet you have 5 officers who still beat a man to death over a routine traffic stop. There's an oversight commission, yes. I'm saying the wrong words, but you get what I'm saying. Yes, Memphis is 64% black, and the police department in Memphis is, like, I think 50% black or something, you know, which is infinitely higher. As far as a percentage of black officers, it's like one of the blackest police departments in the country, pretty much.
Recently terminated by the Memphis Police Department. They are currently in custody. They are Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, Emmett Martin III, Desmond Mills Jr., and Justin Smith. The grand jury returned indictments against all 5 with the same charges. And we had previously met with the family of Tyre Nichols to go over what these charges were going to be. And that meeting with the family, I think, went rather well. Here are the charges. Second-degree murder.
I've never seen
aggravated
this.
Assault. Aggravated kidnapping resulting in bodily injury. Aggravated kidnapping involving the possession of a weapon. Official misconduct through unauthorized exercise of power. Official misconduct through failure to act when there is a duty imposed by law. And official
Being black doesn't change the fact that they murder someone as cops. Cops bleed blue. Hasanabi, fuck making excuses for them after they kill someone. What do you mean at Hasanabi? I'm saying that. You must be talking to chat, I guess, nice bathroom, because I'm literally saying that. Black cops are still soldiers of a white supremacist criminal justice system, and they absolutely operate under those same social constructs. They are soldiers for the white supremacist system. They are acting out the white supremacist desires of said system. That's it. They're cops first. They probably thought that they would be seen as cops first by the Brotherhood of the Blue, and depending on the video itself, it could be two reasons. Like, either they gave him up because they're black, or they gave him up because they're black, and more importantly, perhaps, the video is additionally brutal. Because there are instances where black cops are still defended. Like, one I can think of historically where a police officer actually immediately was brought charges upon was Mohammed Noor, a black police officer in Minneapolis, as a matter of fact. He was given up by the police department. He was black. His victim in that circumstance was an Australian woman, a white blonde lady. That was the victim. So that was definitely a big no-no. And they held on to Derek Chauvin to a certain degree, way more than they did to Mohammed Noor, way more than they did here. But that does not change the reality that black cops throughout history have also been defended. Okay? So it has to be that the video is so indefensible and so brutal that they are dropping these guys. It's a combination of multiple factors, I think. As sad as this is, maybe this can be a learning moment for America. Fuck no. This will never be a learning moment for America. I'm sorry, but you, Norbro, have Norwegian brain rot and are naive when you think about this. Every person is going to use this as an opportunity to continue their awful, unproductive, racist, agitated propaganda. People will say, I'm doing this right now, except this is agitated propaganda in the right direction, because there are unjustifiable hierarchies and there is racism firmly planted in the criminal justice system, especially so. Okay? Meanwhile, the right, I suspect, will look at this and say, black on black violence. They'll use terms that they never have used when describing cops, specifically because it's like, black police officers. Okay? And most likely behave in a way that is inconsistent with how they behave when the police officer is white. Anyway, I'm not going to give you like a clever segue here. I'm just going to run the 3-minute ad break. Sorry, this is a serious issue, so I'm not going to do that now. I'm just going to run the 3-minute ad break. If you don't want to see it, you can subscribe for $5 or for free. Here's the 3-minute ad break now.
Oppression.
I got to pee. I'll be back in a second.
Each of the 5 individuals played a different role in the incident in question. The actions of all of them resulted in the death of Tyre Nicholes, and they are all responsible. It's important to note, as Ms. Williams said, that this is still an ongoing investigation, and therefore there are limits on what we can say about this case. We ask for everyone's continued patience as we continue to vigorously seek justice in this case. We also know that the public is very concerned about whether they can see the video about this incident and the timing of the release of this, the video of this incident. I have been in regular contact with the city of Memphis, the custodian of that record, And I can tell you that the city will be releasing the video sometime after 6 p.m. Friday, tomorrow. And that the city of Memphis should be making a statement somewhat later on this afternoon regarding the timing of that release. Let me close by saying, both to the family of Tyre Nichols and to the broader community here in Memphis and Shelby County, we all want the same thing. We want justice for Tyre Nichols. It's my hope that if there is any silver lining to be drawn from this very dark cloud, it's that perhaps this incident can open a broader conversation about the need for police reform. The world is watching us, and we need to show the world what lessons we can learn from this tragedy. I'm hopeful that we can show them who I know us to be, a community working towards positive change here in Memphis and Shelby County. With that, let me ask.
Oh, there was more. Oh, I forgot. The other part of it is like the DOJ and FBI literally immediately opened up a civil rights investigation, which does happen. Okay, the DOJ does do this, and they do find like rampant racism every single time, surprisingly, in every single department that they've ever investigated, from Baltimore to Ferguson, right? And of course, no changes come from that, clearly, obviously. And our legislators refuse to do anything about it, obviously. So we shall see what happens in the aftermath of this. But if you think that the Democrats are going to wisen up and use police brutality as a political motivator, you're out of your fucking mind. Especially as they spent the past goddamn year capitulating to psychotic right-wing media, claiming every fucking day that the police were defunded, that every fucking day that police were actually not doing their jobs because they just didn't have enough money, that not even that, but they weren't doing their jobs because they felt bad, that they were being bullied by the citizenry that funds them, okay? And, you know, just get ready, get excited for the prospect of that. Get excited for the prospect of the Democrats saying, oh, yeah, we do care about police reform. It can't wait, which was bullshit to begin with.
Director Roush to step forward.
Thank you, D.A. Mulder. Good afternoon. I'm David Roush, Director of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. First and foremost, and most importantly, on behalf of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, I want to extend my deepest condolences to the family and friends of Tyre Nichols. My prayer is that God will wrap his comforting arms around you and keep you during this very difficult time. We can't imagine.
Yeah, look, they're literally out here begging, doing everything they can to stop a rebellion. This comes just a day before the video of even the cop described heinous, reckless, inhumane, failing of basic humanity murder of Tyre Nichols by 5 Memphis cops. Dude, if you're this afraid of fucking people burning cities down, perhaps you should make systemic change. Perhaps you should implement accountability. You know what I mean? This kind of fucking bullshit, like after being afraid of the human reaction to such senseless systemic violence is not going to keep moving the needle. The fuck are we doing? I'm sorry, but this is absolutely fucking bananas, dude. How? What do you expect? More, dude. 2022 was a particularly brutal year for police, okay? Particularly brutal. Over 1,000 confirmed kills on the job. What the fuck are they doing? Their funds have only increased. In that process, as they constantly claimed that defunding was happening. The crime narrative was made permanent by all the way from local news to national news. It became a fixture in the Democratic Party's platform of like also funding the police more, as they raced. Both parties raced to be like, no, we love the cops more. We will hug and kiss them. It's insane. I feel like people who are surprised that the cops are who did this are black are about to learn a part of the talk that my parents are always emphasize. The race of a cop is cop. Never be under the illusion that a black cop is less likely to brutalize you or kill you. My interaction with black cops have always been as potentially fraught as my interaction with white ones. At no point does help a brother outwork, because if they really were trying to help me, they wouldn't have stopped me in the first place. People noticing how quickly these black cops were charged as opposed to their murderous white fellows in other situations should also pay attention to how silent the police union has been on their behalf. Yeah. This Memphis video of the lynching of Tyre Nichols must be awful. Basically, everybody who's seen it is like, please don't riot when you see this, like you probably should. I've never seen a reaction like that. Yeah, I think like PM Blue, thank you for the 5 subs. I think it's bad. I don't know what else to say. I mean, they literally are doing PR ahead of the.
This is not just a professional face. This is not.
Gotta take 5. Just for Tyre Nichols, Justice Tyre, Memphis Police Chief CJ Davis addressing the heinous beating of Tyre Nichols. This is not just a professional failing. This is a failing of basic humanity towards another individual. The incident was heinous, reckless, and inhumane.
Not just a professional failing. This is a failing of basic humanity toward another individual. This incident was heinous, reckless, and inhumane. And in the vein of transparency, when the video is released in the coming days, you will see this for yourselves. I expect you to feel.
They're pulling a "we're in this with you." Like, oh man, I'm so shocked that this happened. They're literally pulling a "we're all in this together, guys. Come on." Ahead of time. Holy fuck, dude. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if this reaction is because like the video is particularly egregious, heinous, awful, or if it's because like it's now become this like weird cycle of expected reaction, oftentimes like property damage that happens as a consequence of like police inaction, or sorry, systemic inaction in the form of accountability in the face of police escalation of violence and murders. I don't know. I just, maybe all of the above. But the video is coming out tomorrow.
What the Nichols family feels. I expect you to feel outrage in the disregard of basic human rights, as our police officers have taken an oath to do the opposite of what transpired on the video. This is not just a
Meanwhile, Tennessee state reps are trying to make bail funds illegal. This looks